Hey, what's going on, guys? It's No Shoes, and we're back with another Mac Miller Monday. Today, we're going to be reacting to Friendly Hallucinations and our continuation of checking out all of Balloonerism. This is the third track we have checked out. So, leave suggestions in the comments down below, or let me know if you want me to keep going in order. We will go either way. But I'm excited to check this out. I hope you guys are as well. I've been really enjoying balloonerism. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Let's see what Friendly Hallucinations is all about. Let's see what Mac got to say. Let's get it.
Can you hear the whispers of an innocent, ignorant child in the ocean? Get to swimming or drown. How long has it been since you smiled? Girl, I love the way your body fit inside that gown. Her mama was a ladybug, papa was an atheist, working on a novel set in Cold War Romania, chasing love, idolizing Joan of Arcadia, pray to landscape.
Okay, very interesting. Kind of started off with like a little bit of a stuttered feel. Now the bars are coming a little bit more constant, a little bit more straight across. Felt a little like cockeyed at first in a nice way. I like it. The instrumental feels very plotting. It's just very much like dum, 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 dum. We obviously got some other stuff going on in there. We got some additional instruments, kind of like not really chaotic, but there is like a slight, I don't know, just like a little, it's a little twisted almost. There's like a slight bit of darkness in it, maybe. Let's see where it takes us.
Chasing love, idolizing Joan of Arcadia, pray to landscapers, don't wake her up. I'm a slave to the baseline, conversation topic got us tangled in the grapevine. Still wide awake, I'm a stranger to the daytime. Vampire, higher than a hang glider. Look around and all I see is gray skies. There's help inside that medicine cabinet. Came in for the answers, but she left with a habit. There's no one on the other end of that telephone.
Okay, interesting. Talking a little about drugs, it seems like answers in a medicine cabinet. She left with a habit. Maybe talking about addiction a little bit. Seems like Mac in a lot of these tracks, at least this and $5 pony rides, there's like this woman he refers to in third person. Maybe one person, maybe multiple different people, maybe not a woman at all. Maybe just she worked well. Sometimes when I'm writing a track, I'm like, I could say this is I could say this is me, I could say this is him, he, like there's so many different first person, third person, second person that you can use. Maybe that's part of it. But nice start to it, man. Clean rhymes. Max started off early. His voice is very clear and present in the top of the mix. And then we're getting some nice like melody elements. Again, they're like bordering on musical. It's like very experimental, similar to what else we've heard. But it's got a nice vibe to it. I like the feel. The bass hits nicely with the kicks. Seems like we're getting four on the floor. Some measures, other measures, we're getting a little bit more space between the kicks and the bass. It's very interesting so far.
Cabinet came in for the answers, but she left with a habit. There's no one on the other end of that telephone. Let's fall asleep to the metronome. Yeah. She's falling for her hallucination. What's love without imagination? Yeah.
Interesting.
Baby, don't let them tell you what's real and what's not. There's a paradise waiting on the other side of the dock. Whoa. It's only real if it's real to you. Does it fit?
Yeah, this section's just gorgeous. The vocal layering, it really helps kind of clear up. Like, there was like a little bit of dissonance and just stuff going on at the beginning, kind of giving that like off-kilter type of vibe I was mentioning a little bit earlier, especially with those weird like synths coming in the top, just being like over the top of everything. Love the addition. I like weird stuff like that. But the vocal comes in, it's harmonious. We got these great layers, maybe a little bit bigger, still kind of keeping that very raw, natural vibe of the verse, but bigger. And just really, really beautiful. Very, very interesting though. Haven't heard anything quite like this.
It's only real if it's real to you. Does it feel? It's only real if So what's it feel like? Yeah. Tell me is
And then it was interesting. I did want to touch on like the actual lyrics of the hook here for a second, talking about like, don't let them tell you what's real. It's only real if it's real to you. Talking about she's like falling for her hallucination. And it's very interesting thinking about that perspective of it, right? Like, is this actually like a reality that this woman, this girl is experiencing, or is it all in her head? But if it's all in your head and it's like you believe it and you feel it and everything, is that real? Like, I'm kind of in the middle on like how to take this because that the two sides of that would just be very different songs, I think, where like, one is like embracing a delusion and the other is like because of belief, it's no longer a delusion. It like truly is real, which now we're getting into the philosophy of like nihilism and stuff where you get to choose your own meaning because nothing has meaning and da 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 da. I could go on, but we're only a minute 30 in. Let's let Mac talk a little bit more.
like, yeah. Tell me, is it real if you can't hold it in your arms, but it can touch you? Feel its texture pressing up against your chest. You say, I love you, you don't hear it back. Falling victim to a world that's filled with satire. Mark Twain.
Is it real if you can't hold it in your arms, but it can touch you? That's for sure, man. And music, probably the greatest example of that. Unfortunately for Mac in this track in his example, I have a CD of balloonerism I can touch. But but I think the point stands. There are things that are real that you can't touch. And the little rush back into this next verse and that push really works well to drive that energy forward and kind of like reset the pacing from the hook almost.
Wayne admire. Open Tom Sawyer, read a passage to the cab driver. She only in the backseat of a taxi cause the car is in the shop with a flat tire. Mom say she believe her, but she always been a bad liar. Had a plan to burn her past, but it backfired. Hold on and be strong, kneel before your king. The land you put your knees on, it won't be long till your path finds you. And if love is just a fantasy, what's the problem if you fall in love with fantasy? They assume she's confused with delusion.
Interesting. I love that flip right there. If love's just a fantasy, then what's the problem if you fall in love with a fantasy? So maybe we're talking about, some this song I guess is positing that like maybe love's just made up. But if it's just made up, then why not embrace that? I feel like this is really about like what's inside of you, but then I also start to think about like what's the problem if you fall in love with a fantasy? There are people who I've actually met a guy one time. I used to work at a gym. He thought this girl at the gym was into him and I swear on my life, he told me to my face, straight face, grown man, said this that she likes it when he watches her work out. But they've never talked about it before. And I was like, well, I have bad news for you, homie, because she told us she doesn't like it. And we need you to stop and leave. He almost got into a fight with one of our trainers, and I had to go de escalate all of that. That was a horrible day. That was a horrible day. It was one of those things where it's like, man, I know like the world's a crazy, like gigantic place, but like, there's certain things you just don't expect people to say in 2024 or 2023 or whatever year it was when that happened. But yeah, like the fantasy of it all. Some people are really good at concocting shit in their head that just does not match the real world at all. But there's levels, right? There's nuance here. What is Mac actually talking about? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts as well.
It's a fantasy. What's the problem if you fall in love with fantasy? They assume she's confused with delusions she's creating in the waiting room for psychiatric evaluation. She doesn't have the patience to be treated like a patient. It'll be okay if she just swallow his pills. She's falling for her hallucination.
Okay.
What's love without imagination? Yeah. Baby, don't let them tell you what's real and what's not. There's a paradise waiting on the other side of the dock. Whoa. It's only real if
There's a nice evolution to the instrumental too Some of these instruments might be instruments I just didn't notice at first because they were all brand new, and sometimes it's a little bit like overload, and then as you get in a little bit deeper, you start to hear all the layers. But we got some nice shaker in the background that's helping keep the pace. We got some keys going on. They're nice and big and wide. They're almost more like a feeling because they kind of envelop the rest of the track with how open they are. Then we have these thin synths that are hitting these like little whistly tones up in the top. And like little flourishes here and there. It's a nice touch. Really, really cool instrumental. Very just again, it's beautiful to see all these different styles that Mac is able to evoke. I mean, DJ's chord organ, way different than this track. $5 pony rides, completely different than this track. Like it's so interesting to see all of the different places that he could take his music and what's been created out of it.
Having conversations with friendly hallucinations. Having conversations with friendly hallucinations. They don't need no explanation. There is beauty in creation, my Lord. Having conversations with friendly hallucinations. Having conversations with friendly hallucinations.
Yeah, that's nice, man. And now we got a female backing vocal coming in, and it really adds some life and a little bit of extra brightness to Mac's voice. The way it kind of her voice kind of like pokes through around on the edges works really well. Again, adds that evolution. It takes a hook that we've already heard a couple times and it makes it interesting again while maintaining the catchiness of it. And also really feeds on the context of this whole song being about like some girl that Mac was talking about earlier. The having conversations with friendly hallucinations thing is a really interesting thing to me because it makes me now think of like, there's some like not necessarily delusions, but like things people have imagined to themselves that like just aren't harmful to other people. Like, I don't know, are we talking about like imaginary friends? Are we talking about like, maybe you're tripping and you start having a conversation with yourself and you start realizing all these things and you come out a better person, or like there's so many ways it could be, and I just have no idea really what he's like digging down at. Obviously this is the first time listening, I'll expect to know exactly what's going on, but I feel like there's could just be so many interpretations behind this.
Having conversation with friendly hallucinations. Don't need no explanation. There is beauty in creation, my Lord. My Lord. She's falling for her hallucinations. What's love without imagination? Yeah. Baby, don't let them tell you what's real and what's not. There's a paradise waiting on the other side of the dock. Whoa. It's only real if it's real.
Yeah, beautiful change right there. Y'all probably saw me like scrolling through. I was trying to see if I could catch the name of like who that vocal might be from. It looks like there were some samples used from Big Daddy Kane tracks. So I don't think this sample sounds like it would come from that track, but I haven't heard it before. But if y'all want to see me check out that track that they got a sample from, let me know. We'll check out some Big Daddy Kane. But regardless, nice change here with Max vocal, bring it down a little bit thinner, making it feel a little bit more delicate. Again, bring us out of that hook, but now we're in a completely unique, like fourth vibe from, we start with the verse, then we have the first type of hook with just Mac, then we have the hook with the woman's voice on it, and you guys can't even see my fingers. And then now we have this section here where he's still like singing, but now his vocals a little bit thinner, a little bit more like personal, almost a little bit more vulnerable, it feels like. Talking about the something at the end of the dock. Let's keep it rolling.
On the other side of the dock. Whoa, it's only real if it's real to you. It's only real if it's real to you. It's only real if it's real to you.
Yeah. Super jazzy, maybe funky even. Really, really well done, man. Just great balance, wonderful delivery, great instrumental. You know, like I'd be lying to y'all if I said this was my new favorite Mac track. It's an interesting one. I enjoy this one more as an artist than as a listener. I'm intrigued by the ideas here, the concepts that formed this. Like, why do the instrumental that way? Why do the vocal that way? Why structure it this way? Are all cool questions to ask about stuff like this, where it's like a little bit more nerdy in the art style of it, especially with this being a more experimental album in and of itself. But yeah, it's a cool track. I like it. I'd probably listen to it, more for academic purposes, if you will, than just to like vibe to, but who knows? Some songs grow on you as well. But regardless, that was Friendly Hallucinations from Mac Miller. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did. By the way, my EP Dab did just drop this past Saturday on streaming. It's out for digital download as well. Check out my link tree in the description if you want to listen to my music and show me some extra love and support. But much love to everybody in the No Shoes gang. Don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to see more videos like this. And I will catch you all next time.